He spent his life recording silence, for films, for scenes, for others. She didn't choose silence. Her voice disappeared after an injury. They met in a forest where words were unnecessary. No conversations, no questions, no pity. Between rustling leaves, glances, and gentle touches, a love was born that didn't need sound. This is a story about how silence can be the loudest confession of all.
Love Stories Max. Welcome to my channel. Enjoy watching, friends.
Where silence speaks. I always thought that spring sounds different than any other season. Not louder, no, it sounds careful, like a breath you're afraid to disturb. That's why I loved that forest so much. The same paths, narrow, slightly crooked, as if someone had drawn them without thinking too hard. There was still a chill left from winter, but the sun had already learned how to touch the ground in a new way. I walked there almost every day. Not because I was searching for something, but because no one asked me there why I was silent. My voice disappeared a year ago. An injury, hospitals, words of sympathy that only made me want to become even quieter. But in the forest, silence wasn't emptiness. It was alive. That day, I heard him before I saw him. Not footsteps, no, I heard a strange rustling. As if someone was arguing with branches. And then, a very serious shish directed at a tree. I stopped. Between the pines stood a man with headphones, a microphone on a long pole, and an expression so focused it looked like the fate of humanity depended on it. He leaned toward the ground, then the air, then an anthill. I couldn't help it. I smiled. And at that exact moment, a branch traitorously cracked under my foot. He jumped. The microphone wobbled. The headphones slipped off. "Oh," he said, and immediately pressed a finger to his lips, as if I could answer. I raised my hands in apology. He looked at me for a few seconds, and then suddenly smiled wide. "Would you mind standing still?" he whispered, as if we were both conspirators. "This silence is perfect. Almost. You just broke it in a charming way." I wanted to laugh out loud, but I laughed with my eyes instead. I pointed to my throat and shook my head. He understood instantly. Didn't ask questions. Didn't look at me with pity. Just nodded. Then, he pulled out a notebook and wrote, "I'm Henry. I record silence." I took the pen. "Nicole." I walk inside it. He read it and laughed softly, without a sound. That's how we met, without a single word. In the days that followed, we started running into each other by accident. At least, that's what he thought. I knew better. He came around 5 every time, always got tangled in his cables, and constantly forgot where he put the lid of his thermos. One day he wrote, "Today I recorded how silence coughs." That was me. I answered, "And I saw you ask the wind to be quieter." He got offended at the wind. Seriously, I saw it. Spring bloomed between our gestures. He learned to read my pauses. I learned to read his eyebrows. They said more than words ever could. One day, he held out his headphones to me. I put them on, and the world disappeared. I heard the forest as if it were speaking directly to me. The crackle of bark, the breathing of leaves, a distant bird that probably didn't even know it was being listened to. I took the headphones off. My eyes were wet. Henry panicked, started asking with gestures if I was okay, so energetically that he almost dropped the microphone into the stream. I wrote, "This is the loudest silence of my life." He looked at me for a long time, very quietly. Then he wrote, "I'm glad you're here. Because next to you, silence isn't lonely." That evening, we sat on a fallen tree. He was recording. I was watching the sun get caught between the branches. And for the first time in a long while, I thought, maybe my voice isn't gone. Maybe it just learned to sound different. And I also thought that if I ever speak again, I'll say my first words in the forest. To Henry. And I'll probably ask him not to shush the trees, because they're already trying their best. After that evening in the forest, something changed. Not suddenly, not loudly. It simply appeared between us, in our looks. We were still silent, but silence was no longer a pause. It became a language. Henry started looking at me as if asking, "Are you here?" And I answered with my eyes, "I'm not going anywhere." One day he arrived especially focused. I noticed immediately. He checked the microphone 3 times, got tangled in his cables twice, and once stared very seriously at a rock, as if it might betray him. I raised an eyebrow. "Something wrong?" He exhaled, slowly, and then did something he'd never done before. He took off his headphones. It felt almost intimate. He pulled out his notebook. Wrote for a long time. Erased. Wrote again. I waited, counting how petals drifted between us. Finally, he turned the notebook toward me. "I know our silence is special. But I want to invite you somewhere where silence isn't an accident, it's a choice. Will you go on a date with me?" I looked up at him. He wasn't looking at the notebook. He was looking at me, as if the answer already lived between our breaths. I didn't write. I just nodded. And then something very funny happened. Henry forgot how to breathe. Seriously. He exhaled so sharply that he startled a bird. The bird got offended. I smiled. Our first date had no words. But it wasn't without conversation. We sat in a small cafe near the forest. He ordered coffee. I ordered tea. The waitress watched us suspiciously, because we were silent, and yet laughing with our eyes. We learned to speak like this. His glance slightly to the side meant, "I'm nervous." Mine, soft and steady, answered, "You're safe here." When he looked at me closely, as if recording me, I knew it meant, "You matter to me." When I narrowed my eyes just a little, it said, "You're being very cute right now." At one point, he reached out his hand. Not suddenly, as if asking with his eyes, "May I?" I placed mine in his. The world didn't explode. It simply became quieter and warmer. Walking back toward the forest, he wrote as he walked, "You know, I've spent my whole life recording silence. And today I realized, I want to stay inside it." I didn't answer with words. I looked at him the way you look when you know. This is only the beginning. It didn't happen right away. Silence has always known how not to rush. And we learned from it. We were back in the forest. Late evening. The air already carried a hint of cold, but the warmth of the day still lingered between the trees. Henry wasn't recording. I noticed that first. The microphone lay nearby, forgotten. The headphones too. He was just sitting next to me, and that was enough. We watched the light slowly leave the leaves. How the shadows grew longer. How silence gathered between us again, soft, familiar. Henry turned toward me gently, as if afraid to scare the moment away. His look was a question. Not insistent, very honest. "May I?" I didn't answer. I simply didn't look away. He leaned a little closer. So slowly that another whole spring could have lived between our breaths. I could smell the forest on him. Coffee. And something of my own, already ours. When his forehead touched mine, I closed my eyes. Our lips met quietly, without haste, without sound. It wasn't a kiss that changed the world. It was a kiss that allowed the world to remain. His hand found mine. His thumb brushed my skin lightly, as if checking that I was still there. I was. My heart was louder than any words I had ever been able to say. And for the first time, silence wasn't a loss. It was a promise. When we pulled back, Henry was smiling as if he had just heard the most beautiful sound in his life. He didn't reach for the notebook. He didn't write anything. And that was exactly right. A year has passed. I don't know it by the calendar. I know it because the forest has changed, and so have we. The same paths feel wider now, as if they've grown used to our steps. The trees no longer question our silence. And I have my voice again. Not always loud, not always steady, but real. Henry says he heard it long before I spoke again. He says my voice lived in pauses, in glances, in the way I held his hand. Now he doesn't just record silence. He records our life. Morning coffee that always ends in laughter because he forgets to stop recording. My voice, sleepy, a little rough. The way I say his name, and how he freezes, as if it's the most beautiful sound in the world. Today, we're back in the forest. Spring has returned, just as careful as before. Petals fall between us, as if time itself is slowing down on purpose. Henry asks me to close my eyes. I laugh, out loud now. And I do. He isn't recording anything. He's just silent. And I know, this matters. When I open my eyes, he's standing in front of me. No headphones. No microphone. Just him. "Nicole," he says. And my world pauses, because I'm still not used to how gently my name sounds out loud. He doesn't make a long speech. Henry never liked extra words. "I spent my whole life looking for perfect silence," he says. "And then I found you. And I realized, silence isn't the absence of sound. It's the place where the heart isn't afraid to be heard." He goes down on one knee. And I cry, laugh, forget how to breathe, this time together with him. "Will you marry me?" he asks softly, as if he's asking the sky. "Yes," I say, and my voice doesn't shake. It's known this answer for a long time. Our wedding is simple. The forest, light, bare feet on the grass. When I walk toward him, he isn't recording. He's watching. We don't promise loud things. We promise to listen, even when it's hard, even when it's quiet. When he kisses me, I think, how strange it is. I lost my voice only to find the person who taught me how to sound again. And somewhere between the trees, silence smiles.